and a welcoming to everybody who's here and everybody who's also watching on YouTube. And then after this, we'll launch into the elite athlete panels, and then we'll have a Trail Sisters panel, followed by a Kinship and community panel done in collaboration with our partners at GOO and Rising Hearts. And then, of course, I just want to say here at the top, the live broadcast starts at, I think, 4:30 in the morning on Saturday. So I expect everybody who's not racing to be logged on at 4:29 on Saturday morning, where we will start our 31-hour broadcast to tell the entire story of the 2025 Western States 100 from the first finisher to the last finisher. You're not going to want to miss it, and we hope you'll even come join us on the track for Golden Hour and the awards ceremony. A couple more things before we launch into it. The Hoka Fly Lab is being set up just next to the sun deck, adjacent to where we're sitting now. Make sure you swing through there at some point during today. A really cool and immersive experience, and a big thank you to our partners at Hoka. Last thing, is there anybody in the crowd racing this weekend? Amazing. So part of our mission here at the organization is to advance medical research as it relates to trail and ultra running, and they are looking for a few more volunteers to participate in the study that's being done on heat training as it relates to nutrition, hydration, and performance, things like that. I think we have our researchers in the audience here today. You could raise your hands. Okay, right over here. So if anybody is interested in participating, go talk to these great and smart gentlemen who are doing scientific, rigorous research here at Western States. Okay, launching into it. Gentlemen, I would love to just start by asking you to each just briefly and quickly explain your history with the race and what it's meant to you over the years.
My history starts from 1978. Many of you probably heard this story. I was camping American Canyon Creek with my brother. Happened to be the same day as Western States. We were right on the trail, and runners were coming by, all dirty looking, and we didn't know what they had done, but both my brother and I remember the look in their eyes. Like, we want to experience whatever they are experiencing right now. I worked at Dusty Corners for a lot of years, I think about 10 years. I ran 8 times when it was easier to get in. And then I got the job in 2012 as race director. Ran one more time in 2017, which was a stupid idea to run while you're the race director. And here I am. This would be the 13th race cycle, but since 2020 was canceled, it's the 12th race.
Yeah. Toph?
So, I've been a part of the race for over 25 years. I think 1998 was the first year I became immersed into this magnetic energy of Western States. And I've seen it through a lot of different lenses. We were sponsors and partners of Western States. So I've served as a sponsor, a partner, a runner, a volunteer, a pacer, a crew member, a board member, and now I am humbly serving the organization in the role of board president. And this organization, I often describe it's like a peeling an onion. I've been a part of this organization for 28 years, and there are still parts of it that I'm learning and inspired by, and thrilled to be here for the 2025 edition.
Hollis?
I'm a super novice compared to these two. But growing up in the Northwest in Oregon, I've been tangentially around this race for the better part of 30 years. Growing up, trail is huge up there, and one of my good friends, Max King, obviously has a storied tradition with the race. So really been around, but this is my 5th year as the steward for Hoka of the event, and happy to be here. And this will be my 2nd year pacing. So taking Esther Chilog from Forest Hill to Rucky Chucky as fast as we can. So, but yes, seriously, not as versed as these guys. So I'm the novice.
It's so fun. We all get to experience it in a different way. Craig, I think first and foremost, and probably most importantly here, could you just give us the brief RD update here, less than 48 hours to go? How's the course looking? How are the conditions? Is there anything that our runners need to know here?
Well, we're still out doing trail work today. The storm on Saturday put a little wrinkle in our plans to cut the white thorn between Red Star and Duncan. And so we had to turn around because of lightning. Apparently, some of our trail workers are allergic to lightning, so we turned around. But they're getting that right now. The weed eaters were on Cow Street on Monday and Tuesday, so if you ran it a week or two ago, it's going to look quite a bit different. The snow is pretty much minimal. There may be a few sections of small patches of snow, but the course is going to be really fast, really good. Somebody said yesterday that, they thought that the course was faster because of all the trail work you've done since the mosquito fire.
That was me.
That was you.
Yeah.
But it's exposed, so you get you may run faster, but you're in the sun earlier and longer. So I think staying wet and staying and keeping the ice will be very important. It's going to be slightly above normal temps, maybe 97 or so, or 98 in Auburn. We're crossing the river on the cable, which is always a highlight for me when I ran it. I love going across the river. I was usually not in the middle of the night until my last year, 2017. So it was nice to get in the water. I just absolutely love that. Mile 99 is all decorated, which is right near my house. They got a lot of flags and signs up for people. So it feels like it's Western States time in Auburn.
Course is in great condition. I was lucky to be out there during the training camps, and you guys have just done such a great job, and we'll talk about all the work that goes into it. Maybe just quickly, though, there's always some entertaining movement on the wait list this time of the week. Is there any quick updates there?
Yes. So about 2 weeks before the race, I sent out an email to all the waitlisters saying, let me know if you're going to be in Olympic Valley. If you are, let me know how to contact you. And if you don't want to be on the wait list, if you know you're not going to take it, then let me know. So that's why you see all those removes, because runners said, I'm not going to take the spot if it offered. Well, everybody who told me they were going to be in Olympic Valley got in the race already, which was amazing. A lot of movement at the very end. The next guy on the wait list is from the UK. We've been communicating back and forth this week. There was one other person above him. She decided to take her name off. So he's next. And he kept asking me, hey, what are my odds? I can't predict. I don't know. At 3 this morning, he sent an email. He said, I'm taking the plunge. I'm coming to California without a spot in the race. So, yeah, there'll be drama one way or the other. They'll be crying, whether it's happy crying or sad crying.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Awesome. Topher, there's a great lineage of amazing board presidents here at the race. Diana Fitzpatrick, John Trent, John Medinger, Tim Tweetmeyer. Say a little bit about that legacy and what it means to you to now be able to serve in this role yourself.
Well, I mean, Western States has always had exceptional leadership with incredible integrity and incredible focus and commitment to excellence, to respecting the runners, and to creating a community feeling for the runners and creating that connective bond and tissue that is the magnetizing essence of Western States. And, if you go back even further and you think about the origins of Western States, and Mo Livermore and Shannon Wheel, and they were original co-race directors and founders of the organization. And so there's been always very strong, very committed, very dedicated leadership and ethos inside the organization. So it's a privilege to take on this specific role. I would say we have always operated as a team, and so. This is a unique organization in that it's a volunteer organization. We're 100% volunteer powered, and volunteers are the bedrock of the organization, including our board. And that really makes this event an event in an organization for the community, by the community. And so it's an honor to serve the organization at the moment in this role, and collaborate with this other group of tremendous board members, amazing race management team, and the over 1,500 volunteers. And we're so lucky to have someone like Craig Thornley, his leadership, Carrie Meng, our assistant race director, and her leadership. And so, it feels like a big responsibility to be in the role. And at the same time, we're surrounded by an amazing group of people that have literally decades of experience with the organization.
Real quick, Toph, the board itself, the race management team, all the volunteers, we all sort of triangulate towards the Western States mission. I think it's important to sort of spell out the three pillars that that are the guiding principles of the race, because I think for those watching at home, for those who are in the audience, I think they'd be interested to hear like what the guiding light is for the organization, what our purpose is, what we work on day to day.
Yeah, I mean, most importantly, and what's unique to Western States, we're a nonprofit organization. And so, as I mentioned earlier, we're powered for the community, by the community. And so every single dollar we raise through, whether it's partnerships or private donations or race entry fees, 100% of it goes back into the organization's mission, which really have three central pillars. The first being really maintaining trail stewardship, access, and maintenance of the trail from Olympic Valley here to Auburn. And that is a monumental effort. You know, that is between 3,000 and 6,000 hours of volunteer trail work overseen by Craig and our trail manager, John Katz. And you know, it's very unique to Western States in that most other organizations will go to a ranger district, apply for a permit, negotiate a number of runners, and their trail maintenance is flagging the course. And so this is a year-round effort. That is the number one pillar or central pillar to the organization. The second pillar is our medical research pillar. Western States has had the largest body of medical research in the ultra running space. We have averaged about 2 medical research projects per year. We've had 66 published manuscripts, research manuscripts, and this continues to be a core mission. And then finally, you know, the most important component of our or third pillar is to put on this incredible, transformative running experience, the Western States 100 from Olympic Valley here to Auburn, and really celebrate the story of every runner from the first to the final finisher. And so, you know, that is the mission. We focus very much as an organization on getting the details right. Craig was up here before the show just drilling a whole series of details, and we pride ourselves on focusing on the details and in a desire to just create ultra running excellence for every runner from the first to the final finisher, and hopefully you feel like you've got a white glove service all the way to Auburn.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Topher. Hollis, we'd love to ask you to just say a few words about Hoka's involvement over the last several years. I know the brand is sort of born in trail running. It's the core of the brand and its ethos. And also, like, community building is a big part of what I know you're specifically focused on here at Western States. I'd love to ask you to say a few words about that.
Yeah, I mean, we were born in the Alps, in the shadow of Mont Blanc, another little race that happens over there in August. So, you know, but we put this race at the very upper echelon of the sport with UTMB, and so for us, it's more about not just saying that we're trail, but being trail. Like, you know, that's kind of the saying that we have around the office, and really that for us is doing more than just putting logos on things, right? It's about how are we servicing the participants? How are we providing back to the communities that we're in, whether it's through using local resources, whether it's through encouraging people to purchase, you know, things on the course, or, you know, just bringing the community together in general. So for us, that's what everything is rooted in, because that's how we were started as a brand.
Chris, could you say a few more words about how you're specifically interfacing with people like Topher and Craig? Because I think people would love to see the practical partnership and how it plays out, how you guys are communicating, and how ultimately we're moving in lockstep to achieve, the things that Topher was just mentioning as part of our mission.
Yeah, I'd say as a sponsor, our job is to not change the event, it's to be additive. And, every year our kind of saying is, how do we get 10% better? And so it's identifying the holes that exist to preserve or to provide that white glove service that Topher was alluding to a second ago, and both for the participant and the community that's out here to celebrate this. So you'll see a big presence from us in Forest Hill in terms of providing an elevated spectator experience, because we know that's probably arguably the most accessible point on the course, and a place where, a huge milestone for the entire run. So it's identifying those things and then figuring out how do we bring them to life without taking away from the spirit of what this race is, which is a bunch of gnarly, awesome people trying to run from Olympic Valley to Auburn in an oven.
Yeah. You want to say something, Topher?
I would just add, we are very specific about what partners we bring on to Western states. And part of that is rooted in ensuring that our values are aligned and our desire to build community is aligned. And, it's been an honor to have, Hoka come on as a partner. They've really enabled our organization to transform, totally transform, and reach the community in totally new and different ways. Most notably, if it weren't for Hoka, we would never have this live pre-show. We would never have a 31-hour live broadcast. This is now, our fourth year, Dylan, or fifth?
This is our fifth year.
Fifth year,
Yeah.
fifth year. And this is truly, Hoka has been the bedrock of that experience and enabled us to share, just peel back the curtain and share the excitement of Western states literally with the world. And then, of course, on site, they've just been amazing partners in finding that unique way to tap in to the community and tap into that confluence of what is the DNA of Western states and how does that fit with Hoka. And it's been a terrific partnership. We're excited to continue this partnership through 2029. And each year, the connective tissue between their team and our team just keeps improving.
100%. All right, Craig, so coming back to what Topher was just talking about as it relates to the trail, we have already established that it's in great shape. Topher gave a speech the other day where he showed a clip of you where he said, this is Craig Thornley in his office, and it was a snowstorm in this burned area of the trail. You had your hard hat on and the biggest smile you've ever seen on your face. It really is your office. As best as you can, summarize the work that goes into putting the course together for our runners this weekend.
Well, this year, we just saw the totals of number of trail workers so far this year. It's been 95 unique individuals. Many of them are repeat offenders. 95 individuals, and we still have Granite Chief this summer. So we have stewards who are responsible for, I think it's 7 stewards now, responsible for a section of the trail, about 10 miles, 15 miles, and they make sure that the blowdown is logged out and identify any problems. And then we have 4 or 5 or 6 big work parties. That's when we get a whole lot of work done, like when we attack the white thorn or we're attacking the grass in El Dorado. And we had a big weekend last weekend, about 40 people each day, and we camp out at Robinson Flat. And Saturday was a crazy storm, and it was just insane how people kept working through it. Mm-hmm. And then Sunday, the weather was great, and we didn't quite get everything done, so there were people out this week, including today. John Couts is out today. And if anything comes down between now and race day, or even on race morning, we'll have someone out there, with the chainsaw getting the trees out. So it's one of the things I wanted to add on to Topher's. We work on this trail for all users, not just for the run. And most of the trail is a multi-use trail. Motorcycles can use everything in the Forest Service except for the wilderness area. And bikes can use it, a lot of equestrians. So we don't just clear the trail for us. And oftentimes, when we have the big work parties, I'll hear people say, well, it's just a trail run, Craig. Like, we're not just doing this work for us. We're doing it for people who are riding their horses down here, and those canyons are treacherous. So that is, we really do live that, is we work on this trail and maintain it for all users, not just us.
Thank you for saying that. And there really is a spirit of giving in the organization. And Topher, you've mentioned this morning, and you mentioned it in your speech the other day too, but I think it's important to really emphasize the spirit of volunteerism here. And after your speech, I was reflecting on this, because I do think, because you pose this question of like, well, what is it about Western states? Is it the belt buckle? Is it the history? And it's like, no, it's because it's Western states. And to me, I feel like that spirit of giving and volunteerism is at the center of what we cannot really articulate, but we all feel when we're here. Say a few words about that.
Yeah, I think it is interesting. You know, you oftentimes reflect, I've been coming here 28 years, and it's like, what is the magnetic pull that just pulls you into, you know, this Olympic Valley to Auburn the last week in June? You know, what is it that pulls you in? And you know, it's all the things you described. You know, it's the most historic, it's one of the most competitive. Is it the buckle? What is it? Is it the trail stewardship? Is it the organization? And most often when you ask people, they just answer, it's Western states, you know? And I think it's because this event, you know, the uniqueness of both volunteerism being our bedrock, there is an opportunity to engage in that running experience regardless of whether you're a runner. You know, you don't have to be a runner to experience the energy of Western states. You know, you can be a volunteer, you can be a crew, you can be a pacer, you can be a spectator and still take in the energy. And you know, we like to, you know, the other pillar of that, and the benefit of volunteerism is this community building opportunity. This literally, I refer to the volunteerism as our bedrock, and the community is our heartbeat. And you know, this is not an event that just you know, puts out on a website and says, come to our event and give us your entry fees and run our race. This is about building traditions. It's about rituals. It's about creating shared experiences, friendships, and ultimately bonds for life. And I think that connection, that thread, is what's so powerful. That community building thread is so powerful for us, that we don't view community building as a function of like just bringing people together. It's about creating those traditions, honoring them, and reinforcing those rituals over and over with years. And that just makes it, you know, one of the most desirable volunteer jobs in the world of running, or literally. It's exciting.
Thank you, Toph. Chris, coming back to you, one of the things you said at the beginning was that the partnership with Hoka is not just about like putting your logo on stuff and then hopefully selling more shoes, right? It's like you guys are deep within the organization and actually interact with the race in different ways beyond doing brand activations and stuff. You're a perfect example of this. So maybe you could share what you're up to on Saturday specifically, and if you want to call out a couple of your other colleagues and what they're doing during the race as it happens, that I guess you could say goes above and beyond the job description.
Oh gosh, there's a lot going on. I will be putting myself on the pain train with Esther. You know,
Esther Chilog, back-to-back podium finisher.
Yeah.
He paced her to third place last year, the fourth fastest time.
No, she ran that herself. I was just there. I was more of a psychiatrist during that portion than a pacer. But no, I mean we live this. One of, you know, I don't think she's out here because she's probably juggling 37 balls. But Chloe Schulman, one of local, grew up in Forest Hill. She's kind of the North American steward for us for the race, and she is our moral compass for this. So anything and everything we do has to pass the Chloe filter to make it to life. But she really is embedded in this, and I want to say she probably spends more time in Auburn, even though she lives in Southern California. I don't know what what happened there. But no, we have a ton of people, and I think we have over 60 of our people from around the country coming out, from product. Our president, Robin Green's going to be here. She's going to be on the live broadcast on Saturday. Our founder, Nico Mermoud, is somewhere either in Reno or in the air, coming over from Les Contamines, France, because he loves this place. So we'll be anywhere and everywhere. And the team's got some great surprise and delight things that I won't talk to, but we've got some great agency partners as well. Like Ponderosa is gonna be in Forest Hill, and they've got one of the cool things they're gonna do is they've got photographers throughout the course that hopefully will capture pictures of everyone's loved ones from everywhere from the escarpment to Michigan Bluff, and be able to print them out on a fathead in real time in Forest Hill for you to let your runners know how gorgeous they look at that point in time, and not sunburned and dusty. Yeah. But lots of great stuff. But yeah, like I said, everything we want to do is additive to this, whether it be the experience for the participants, the crew, the athletes themselves, just the community. Because at the end of the day, like, great product is table stakes. It's like, what are you doing beyond? As Matt Trappy would say, what are you doing beyond the product, and how are you supporting the stories that make this race? Because if it wasn't for the participants, there'd be no race. Yeah. Right? If it wasn't for the Jennifer Georges who just overcame stage 4 breast cancer, getting to the finish line, months ago she did that. If it wasn't for, the Vincent Buard, one of my coworkers that just happened to win UTMB last year, out of the blue, from most people. Like, those are the stories that give us all those goosebumps, and every one of the people here has a similar story.
And Chloe Schulman just walked past us here. Chloe, I hope you heard that. Shout out.
Give her a big hand. She's short but mighty.
Amazing. Toph, one thing that the Western States popularized was the belt buckle and Comstock Heritage. You talked about them in your speech the other day too, and I remember you and I chatting after you had the opportunity to actually go visit them in person for the first time. It's a tradition that's important to Western States, but a lot of other 100-milers have borrowed it also, and Comstock, has been a great partner of ours. I think people would be interested to hear you speak about that for a bit.
I mean, the origin story of the buckle is amazing. As everyone may or may not know, the race was born out of the Tevis Cup, which was born in 1955. I think we have a 3-time Tevis Cup finisher in our midst here that's going for her first Western States finish this year, Carolyn Latham. And so she's helping build that bridge between the past and the future. And so belt buckles were a part of Tevis. And so when we founded the Western States run, it was natural that we created a Western States buckle. What's so exceptional about the buckle is that these are handcrafted at Comstock Heritage. James Stegman, the current owner of Comstock, is 4th generation, fabricator of one-of-a-kind items. Each of our buckles are handmade out of the silver buckles out of sterling silver, and those are for the sub-24-hour finishers, and then the bronze buckles for the sub-30-hour finishers. Every one are hand-built, and they're a part of our tradition. I mean, these are finishing awards that basically have a value of 3 times the price of an entry fee. And it's because of the generosity of our donors and our partners that we're able to continue this tradition. And it's central to our traditions. Those are some of the things that are community building. And there's a recent book Shannon just launched yesterday, Buckle Fever, which is real out there on the course. So we ask those runners, don't get distracted with buckle fever. Stay in the moment and just get to Auburn in one piece.
And then you get your buckle
exactly.
When you get there. Guys, we have to wrap up to stay on schedule here, but thank you to each of you. Chris, what you guys do has been fantastic for the organization. As the guy who gets to sit on TV all day, and I just appreciate the opportunity to do the broadcast and to help tell the story. Topher, it's amazing to have you in the president role, and Craig, it's been great to know you for such a long time, and you bring so much great leadership to the organization. So thank you to all 3 of you. On behalf of Chris Hollis, Topher Gaylord, and Craig Thornley, welcome to the 2025 Western States 100. I hope everybody has a great weekend.
Wow, that's a very live mic. Welcome to our elite panels. We currently have our elite men on stage. We'll talk to them for about 30 minutes. If you're lucky, we may do a small Q&A. So be thinking about your questions. They're a captive audience. And then we'll have the women up on stage as well in about 30 minutes time. My name is Corrine Malcolm. You'll hear me talk a lot this week, hopefully all day Saturday. I'm joined by a great group of guys that will be racing this weekend. Right next to me, I've got Ryan Montgomery. This will be the 5th time he's registered for the race, his 3rd start. We're really excited to have Ryan back. Caleb Olsen is right next to him. Caleb Olsen had the fastest ever Western States debut last year in 14:40, which shouldn't go missed. We then have Hans Troyer, the youngest male in the field, 25 years old, and making his 100-mile debut on Saturday. We then have Rod Farard. I feel like you should be local at this point since you reside in Auburn a chunk of the time at our good friend Elka's house, but this will be your 5th time racing Western States and finished a really outstanding 2nd place. Last year, the highest returning finisher in this year's race. And then it's not fair to call Vincent's UTMB a surprise win, but you might recognize our man on the very end there from an outstanding performance at last year's UTMB when he brought home the victory. So Ryan, I'm going to start with you since you're sitting closest to me.
Of course.
Of course. 5th time registered, 3rd time starting. The first time you actually made it to the start line here. 3 golden tickets, by the way, so I think has achieved maybe some of the highest number of golden tickets of the field. Had a really great run into the top 10, returned. Last year was a hard year.
Disaster year, yes, last year.
Turns out, had COVID.
Yep.
But tell us what it means to be back again this year, having earned a ticket at the last golden ticket at Canyons behind Hans in this epic battle. What does it mean to be back again?
Yeah, I think running Western States last year with COVID and just not having the performance that I wanted, I felt so unsatisfied because I think I had been the fittest I'd ever been last year for States, and not being able to see that become manifest in a performance, I just felt so unsatisfied. And so being able to come back to Western States now with a golden ticket, to be able to see what that can look like from a performance lens, I'm just really excited to see that for myself, selfishly. And then also Western States is just an amazing spirit. You all are here for a specific reason, and that's because Western States is so special. And so I'm just happy to be here, to be back. It's so special.
Yeah, we're happy to have you back as well. It's going to be really fun on Saturday. Caleb, moving down, just before we started, I got to meet your 7-week-old son. So maybe not a usual build to Western States. I actually told you that I was surprised when I found out that you weren't going to withdraw from the race, that you would be here. Tell us a little bit about, any changes or, kind of new insight or feelings you might have about coming back to Western States, but with family in tow.
Yeah, I was kind of nervous about how the build and especially just recovery during training would work, because I figured you always hear with a newborn, like, sleep is going to suffer. And someone's sleep suffered, but it was more my wife Morgan took the brunt of the blow on that one. And so she's a trooper, and I was able to actually keep up training and recovery and sleep and stuff fairly as normal. So it didn't end up impacting me nearly as much as I thought it would, but that's mostly just thanks to family and friends who have been helping out, covering some time while I've been out running and sleeping.
Did it surprise you at all last year that 5th place was a 14:40?
It definitely surprised me. It surprised me that I ran a 14:40, but also that was the fastest ever 5th place. So I definitely was expecting to either run slower or place higher with that time.
Yeah, we're excited to see what you do on Saturday as well.
Yeah, thanks.
Hans, of this group, you're making your 100-mile debut. Yeah. That's pretty exciting. It's really fun, actually. We get to see elites do this every year, make that big step at a huge stage. You came onto our radar, I feel like last year, Bandera, and then really throwing down at Black Canyon. You were sick at Black Canyon, was unable to race, showed up at Canyon's 100K, got that golden ticket, but this is a leap into the unknown. So tell us a little bit about how it feels to be making that huge step on what is a very big stage.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty scary. I think I'm like respectfully scared because I know how much of a jump it is. But I mean, I transitioned really smooth from the 50K to 100K. And I know the 100K to 100 miles are a really big difference, but I feel like I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I think it races pretty similar, just a lot more pain at the end. So I've been mentally prepping a lot just to be in pain, but I'm excited. I'm excited to push my limits, but it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a cool field. There's a lot of unknown out there, but again, the battles are going to be quite epic. Rod, you look so serious with those sunnies and the mustache. There we go. Okay. Okay, so again, 5th time running Western States. Last year felt like a breakout, though, but I think a breakout that we all recognized was very much within your abilities. Tell us a little bit about coming back this year. Last year you had the Canyons kind of excellent run into Western States. This year you were at Canyons, but maybe not 100%. You made it through a pretty hard day, left you probably a little bit unsatisfied. So what does it feel like, I guess, making that kind of move from a Canyons that wasn't maybe up to your standard to still feel really confident this weekend?
Yeah, I think that made me remember how much I hate feeling bad and how much I want to show up to these races at 100% and not race when I feel like I don't feel good. So I'm lining up here because I feel amazing and I want to do better than I did last year.
Yeah, I think we expect to see that this weekend. Vincent, welcome back stateside.
Thank you.
We were joking on one of the free trail shows that we've got this like gorge, mammoth, UTMB to Western States pipeline that no one else is aware of, but we are because we know everything. Tell us a little bit about what it means, kind of after UTMB last year, where all of a sudden you have been elevated to this next echelon of runner, to be coming all the way back here to the U.S. to toe the line against a super incredible field.
Yeah, I feel really lucky and I'm grateful to be here. Honestly, it's like this is not, I guess, home court advantage anymore. I have a lot of fierce competitors on the U.S. side, but it's home away from home. Like I'm really happy that all the crew that will be with me this weekend is from the West Coast, and my wife who has traveled with me from Europe, but outside of us, it's all like friends from California, Oregon. So it's really special to be able to share that with the local community here. So yeah, I guess different context, but super excited to be here. Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. I'd love to talk to all of you actually about the competition a little bit. No one has to say names. We don't have to give away any secrets for this race week, but this idea that we kind of came into this year being like, this is the Unbreakable 2, this is the year of the years. You guys are all unbreakable because you're here. You made it to the start line. That's a huge deal. So I would love to hear about kind of that mentality, though, coming in, knowing that the bar has been raised and elevated with this field. The race has accelerated year over year. What used to be, those incredible podium times isn't going to get you in the top 10. So I'd love to hear about mentally what it means to be coming into this level of competition at Western States. Ryan, you're in the hot seat. I'm sorry.
As I reflect on my racing strategies over like the past decade of running ultras, I think I've always been someone who's found peace and solitude in doing my own thing. Like I'm doing my own race, I'm racing myself, I have this personal goal, but I think I'm really shifting my perspective in racing to capitalize on the field itself and use that as momentum. So I think as I think about States on Saturday, I really want to use the energy and the push and the fierceness that comes from my competition to push me to be my best self. I don't think I've always done that. And I think that's kind of exciting for me, is to like use that energy and like fuel off of it. I got a little bit of that at Canyons, and I want to capitalize more of that on Saturday. And I think just like the overall level of performance that we're seeing at States is exciting, and I really hope that pushes us to like whole new levels of performance, because that's what's really exciting just seeing like course records being broken year after year. So yeah, I think that's going to happen on Saturday.
And I guess just one follow-up, Brian. I'm wondering if this new level of focus, has that kind of come along with being back in grad school this year and just having to have this level of focus just with time commitments?
I think the whole grad school thing is a completely different topic.
Like it's a cover.
Yeah, I think learning how to be fiercely prioritizing in my life and managing multiple priorities, you can argue is not great for professional running. It's actually not great. But I think it's helped me understand and rethink about like what is my purpose in running and like why am I here and like what is my end goal in this? And I think it is to, I'm in this because I want to see the best out of myself and I need to find the new crevices within myself to find new elements of performance. Like that's why I'm here. That's why I'm doing this. And yeah, so maybe grad school has helped me reflect on that, I would say.
Cool. Caleb, I want to reflect on that competition piece, right? Like you guys have all been training on your own, putting in the work day after day. That's kind of different from the women's field, actually. We've had a lot of women kind of in these like little groups in Auburn or Flagstaff or Boulder training together. And so what does it mean now coming all together to this competitive stage on Saturday?
I have a great community of people who I can train with. I don't often like try and run fast or compete with those people in my community. So it's a different atmosphere to be out here with a lot of people who I consider friends and know decently well, but to be also trying to beat them and compete with them. Kind of similarly to what Ryan was saying, I feel like because of this high level of competition that there is now, you kind of just expect each race to require more than it's ever required before to do well. And so it's changed like the way that I have approached racing and my strategy. I think I figured out a good recipe for me that like usually lands me safely within like a top 10 or like a decent spot. But in order to move from like decent to like top of the field, you have to take more risk and race differently and put yourself out there a little more. And that could come with negative consequences too. But you have to do that if you want to be in the running.
Did you get to practice that at Trans Gran Canaria? He won Trans Gran Canaria this spring, just to point that out. But did you practice that there?
Yeah, that was one where I kind of went into it with the intention of I want to race very differently than I'm used to racing, which is go out conservatively and work my way up as people kind of fall back. And Trans Gran Canaria, it was my first time ever just like leading a race basically from the gun. I was out in front for the first almost like 20 miles. And I eventually did kind of come back with a pack and ran with them for a long time, but that was definitely more aggressively than I usually run, and it was good practice for, probably not exactly what I'm going to do this weekend, but good practice for being a little more aggressive and taking more risk.
So Caleb Olsen to the top of the escarpment first.
That's what you just heard.
Yeah, cool. Place your bets now. Hans, you probably didn't hear this, but at the panel, because you were sick, the men's field didn't know you were sick at Black Canyon. I knew that. You weren't at the panel. We had an audience question, and it was, who are you most afraid to race this weekend? And they all very nicely like gestured to the entire panel, and they said, well, all these guys, obviously. And then someone said, and Hans Troyer, because that kid has nothing to lose. We know that about you. We've seen you race really aggressively. We've seen you kind of go out with these guys that were like, who is this young kid? Like, what's going on here? He thinks he can beat Hayden, whatever. I'm really curious to hear about, again, big leap, 100-mile stage. You've been putting in the training. You've been moving up into this field. Should they all be afraid of you this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at a really interesting spot where I feel like I have the fitness. The training has gone very well. And I really like being aggressive. Sometimes it gets me in trouble. But I think for this weekend, it's going to be interesting because I'm going to be aggressive. I don't know how aggressive, but aggressive enough to keep me in it, if I have the opportunity, I can capitalize on it. With that being said, I don't want to be first to the top of the escarpment necessarily. But no, I'll be smartly aggressive is what I'm thinking right now. But it's kind of the same thing. I don't feel like I have a whole lot to lose. I mean, I hope that I could get back to this race again in the future. So this is going to be a big learning experience this weekend, and I'm just super excited to test myself against all these guys up here and everybody else, and see what I'm capable of, because that's what's exciting to me.
You'll definitely be keeping it exciting on Saturday. We appreciate that. Rod, you were one of the people early last year in the race that I think we saw you race a really aggressive canyons, and we were really impressed with the run you put together there. And you came to Western States, and in a lot of ways, the race has historically, like, we defer to someone. We defer to Jim, we defer to Courtney, we defer to Katie. You were kind of in that group right away, and oftentimes leading in that group. We know Tyler led in some of those early miles as well, but tell us a little bit about kind of like that change maybe in race mentality and how you're thinking about that for this weekend.
Last year, I think Ryan and I were on top of the escarpment together in first, and I didn't plan to do that or anything, but pretty early on you see the dynamics everyone is playing in the race, and immediately, like you said, everyone was keying off Jim, which is fine, but at a certain point, I think Jim noticed and just completely slowed down, and I didn't see any reason to do that. And like, just because you're first to the escarpment doesn't mean you're burning a match if everyone's running slow. Like, I think the way I approach Western States and coming into my 5th try here, like, I know the energy that is too much, and I know the energy that is, you're just playing it safe so you don't look like a fool in front of the field. And I think at this point, like, I don't care how I look to the field, and I don't care what I look like to the live stream. I mean, if I feel like I'm doing what I need to do in that moment and using the amount of energy that I know will get me to the finish, I'm gonna do that. So whether that brings me to the top of the escarpment this year or not, I don't know. I think that dynamics are a little different without Jim in the field, and with a lot of people thinking rightfully that they can win this race.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what's so exciting about it, right? Both the men's and women's races have that element to it. I want to just follow up on one more thing. You've I think, in a really cool way, in a number of interviews this week, and maybe they've all heard it already, but you've had this mentality of like, yeah, you're going to be a factor, right? Like, you're not here to like settle for a top 10 spot. Like, you want to be in it. And I would just love to hear you express kind of like, it feels like a mantra in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I raised the bar for myself last year, and the bar has been raised for this entire race and this entire field. And and I don't actually think this about myself, and I don't actually think about the sport like this, but it's sometimes fun to put yourself in a mindset. And right now my mindset is really black and white, and it's like I want to do better than I did last year. And really, on paper, the only way to do better is to win this race. So when I say things like winner DNF, if you've heard me say that, I don't actually mean that, and it's not like I have to do that or this race is a wash. That's just kind of the mentality I want to give myself and see what that allows me to do on the day. But I think there's a lot of ways to feel like you've won. It doesn't have to be first place, and I don't think that's ultimately why any of us are here racing. Like, someone asked me earlier this week if I'd rather win in 16 hours or, not win but run under 14 hours. And I would for sure rather not win and run under 14 hours because we did something that we're all really proud of together.
I think you're going to have a field that wants to do that this weekend. Vincent, you had an opportunity, so you got a golden ticket at Chianti. And what was cool about that race is that you were in it. It was, I don't want to call it a bloodbath. It was a mud bath, maybe?
Cross country.
Yeah, it was a long cross-country race, 120K through very muddy, rocky, nasty vineyards, it seemed. But what was cool about it, too, is that you and Killian were in this battle, it felt like the whole time, where you had to be in the race and engaged the entire time. And I do think Western States this weekend is going to have that element as well, where you're not going to be by yourself. Maybe you're going to have to be engaged in this kind of joint battle.
Yeah, no, I joke about cross country, but actually, I really wanted to go back to cross country now that we live in France again for me. But it's a fun way, like racing cross country is a fun way to kind of get back to that raw, like competition. Like the time doesn't matter, the pace doesn't matter. It's really just about like battling from the gun to the finish. And I think I can relate to a lot of what's been said here around like how the competition that's raising the bar constantly in our sport that's growing is bringing that aspect on events that like with ultra distances, it's still a very solo effort, like management of your own pace, and you have to like you first have to focus on yourself and feel good about your pace, your nutrition, everything. But the growing competition bring that level of excitement that there's more momentum of like you kind of have to pay attention to what's going on around, and there's more strategy, and that's just super fun. Like I think, but like Chianti, it's like it was really fun to go back and forth with Killian. Like we were battling, we were also I think helping each other mentally. I lost to him at the end. I finished third, he finished second. I was literally like just kind of like laughing of fun. Like I love to develop that competitive mindset, but also reminding myself that like at the end of the day, I completely agree with what Rod said. Like I'd rather be proud of having done everything and given everything and do a strong time than win at all costs and maybe for the race to be less interesting per se.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of trying to beat each other, but also trying to bring each other along this weekend in order to achieve that time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's it's like we go quote unquote fast, but it's still slow enough that like we can talk, we can like help each other, and like we're lucid enough to make decisions and sometimes benefit from one another for sure.
Yeah, again, I'm so excited to watch. My job's the best. So before we have to let you go, this is an opportunity and a moment for each of you to thank the people who are behind you. Obviously, you have to run the 100.2 miles from here, where we stand or sit, to Auburn, but it's a team sport. There are people that are making this possible, your crews, your sponsors, et cetera. So I would love to just give you each a minute to thank the people that are here with you this weekend or who couldn't be here with you this week. I don't even know what that was. Oh, okay. But thank the people that are here this weekend or couldn't be here this weekend. I would love to hear who's your support team.
I just think it's such a privilege to be able to just be here and be supported. As we all know, it's a sport that requires a lot of resources, and to reduce that barrier for me is amazing. So like my sponsors, Janji, The Feed, Sunto. I'm going to be running in Nordas this weekend, which I'm really excited to wear those shoes. And then my crew is awesome. My best friend Tina is here with me today, and my crew will be coming in tomorrow. And my mom and my little sister are going to be crewing me on Saturday. And my little sister has never come to she hasn't come to any of my races yet. This will be her first time. So I'm really excited for her to see the side of her bigger brother. And just grateful for you too. So thank you.
You're welcome. Caleb, who's made this possible for you? Who's going to be here?
There are a lot of people who have helped out and who are going to be here. We've got most of my family and Morgan's family coming out to help support and crew and watch Marshall. And I've got support from Nike, from Precision. They both have large groups out here who are helping out. I've also got my Pacers and teammate Anthony Costales and my friend Jacob, who's helping pace. Let's see, am I forgetting anybody? There's a bunch of people out here. It's pretty insane how big of groups we can have helping out, so I really appreciate everybody.
Hans, who's here with you this weekend?
Yeah, I don't want to forget anybody. I feel like I have so many people. But immediately, Ultra and Hyperlight, thank them for helping me out. Out here, I have my wife, Grace, my parents, my little brother, Jeremiah, family friend, Faith. My older brother was trying to get out. We couldn't quite make it. I got Kyle and Cal from Ultra to pace me, and plenty of other people coming out here just to help out and support. And I've gotten so many nice messages from everybody over the past week and a half. So I know I got a lot of people behind me and cheering for me, and that just makes it all worth it and exciting. So thank you to everybody, really.
Rod, I've actually seen part of Rod's crew deck that we won't discuss here. But Rod, who's the team behind the team this weekend?
Oh man, there's a lot of people. It's a hard place to be when, it's amazing people want to come crew. Like it's a full day thing where you're just running around singing in a car. And I don't know, how many people have crewed this race before? Yeah, you guys are awesome. I need to give back at some point. But yeah, so I have people in all my little community buckets coming out from the Bay Area, Santa Barbara, Mammoth Lakes. And my parents have been behind me since my first ultra almost a decade ago. My coach is coming out. And yeah, thank you, Hoka, and all the people who are putting this race on. Specifically Chloe Schulman, if you're out there, and my community in Auburn, too, that lets me stay at their house and train and just lay on the couch doing nothing. So I appreciate it. Yeah, you guys are great, and really the reason I come back to States every year.
Nice. Vincent, who's here to make this all possible?
Yeah, so I have my wife Camila, who's sitting just here. We will be crew chief officer for the weekend, with like a great group of friends I was mentioning earlier all from the West Coast. Like, we're really excited to share that with them. We'll have family following locally here, because her family, actually, a lot of them live in Sacramento, so they'll be following closely. Some of them may be on the course. My side of the family will be in France. My brother is actually racing 90K in the Mont Blanc Marathon, I guess later tonight for us, tomorrow morning early for them. But yeah, we'll have family crewing for us. And then, yeah, amazing support from Hoka here. Honestly, I want to give a big thank you to, I think, Brianna, you're over there. Like, she literally came to pick us up yesterday. Camila and I had our car break down on us on the freeway as we were driving up from Auburn, and she saved the day for us, to say the least. So thank you, and everyone on sports marketing making this weekend super awesome for Hoka athletes.
We can't wait to watch you all race this weekend and everyone else that will be out there. Big round of applause for these guys. righty, welcome back to the Women's Elite panel. We're going to be a small, intimate panel up here, but we've got some heavy hitters in the house with me. Again, I'm Corrine Malcolm. You'll hear me all day Saturday with Dylan Bowman on the live broadcast. I'm joined by Marian Hogan, two-time podium finisher at UTMB, as well as third place at Western States. Back looking for a little bit more this year.
Thanks. Thanks for those applause. Just kidding. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're so stoked that you're back this year. Emily Hoggood joining us in the center here from Zimbabwe, but lives just down the road, effectively running home in a lot of ways on Saturday to the Auburn track at the Placer High School. She's going for her 5th top 10 finish this year, right? That's what I've been telling everyone. I'm just making up the narrative now. And then we have Fujiao, one of our Chinese athletes, had an amazing run last year, the 3rd fastest woman ever at Western States.
Thank you. I'm Naki.
So very, very impressive. And honestly, if you're playing for Trail Fantasy, probably women you want to keep your eye on before voting closes Saturday morning. Marianne, I'm going to start with you. It's been really fun to follow your training. You're a high volume athlete. You've been mixing in a lot of biking. You've been training on the course, spending some time in Boulder as well. Got a golden ticket at Canyons to come back here. It's been a couple years though, since 2022?
Yeah, 3 years now.
So what does it mean, I guess, 3 years later to be back on this stage, looking to improve on that performance? I looked at the time too. It was I think 18 hours. I think we're planning to run a little faster on Saturday.
Well, that was my first 100 miles, so I'm hoping to get better with time. But yeah, I'm just happy to be back. I was hoping to be back in 2023, but injury sidelined me, so it took a few years for me to be back. But I was so happy to be able to come back out here and spend a month in the area. I got to spend some time on the course out with Fujiao. We had a lot of fun out there, so I'm just excited to go back out there on Saturday and give it another twirl.
Yeah, I guess something that we all, when we see you race, I think something that we love is that you're such a competitor, at least in our minds. Maybe that's not how you view your running, but we're like, man, Marianne's a competitor. And if someone's going to the front, Marianne's going to be there too. And so I'm wondering, as you come back again, looking to improve, how are you thinking about that for Western States on Saturday, that competitive aspect of it?
Yeah, I feel like it's not so much the competitive side of me. It's just that I race a lot on feeling and not so much on strategic performance or anything like that. And I feel really good when I'm in the mix, and so that's usually how that happens. Emily and I had a lot of exchange during Canyons, and that was a lot of fun. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to put forward a race that will look something like that. It's a lot of fun to exchange with the different runners, and obviously we have our strengths and weaknesses. And I think that the Western States is much longer than Canyons, and that there'll be even more yo-yoing out there.
Lots of opportunity to have an epic battle. Emily, Canyons was really cool because you're kind of always in the mix. I mean, I remember watching the drone footage of you and Ruth and Keeley coming into Devil's Thumb, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is the day. And I feel like the final, we haven't just quite stuck the landing, but Canyons, you raced with nothing to lose. You were at the front. You were the person with Marianne dictating the pace. It was really exciting to watch. We were like, man, she's going for this from the gun. Knowing that it's your 5th time back at Western States, I'm sure that there has been a number of strategies that have played out over the years, and I'm wondering how you're thinking about that, particularly after Canyons, where you did, I feel like, race in a different style than what I've seen from you.
Yeah, and I mean, every race I learned something new, and obviously Canyons, I learned a ton. It was super amazing to have, Marianne to battle with, and some other runners we were fighting with. I mean, the women's field across the board, all the way around the world, never lets you give up at any point in a race right now, and that's a really exciting place to be, and I think we're all pushing each other to be better. Yes, the fact that it's my home course, Canyons is, and obviously being back for Western States, it's just another opportunity to get out there. And what I really want to carry with me on Saturday is that this is my passion. I love it so much. And the only things I want to bring to the table to like fuel that passion is enthusiasm, presence, and curiosity. And we'll see like where that takes us.
I was going to say, is that on Coach Paul's plan, enthusiasm and curiosity?
Hope so. We'll put it in the notes.
That's been added to the crew list for Saturday. I appreciate that. Yeah, not to divulge too many secrets, and you mentioned fueling. Fueling on enthusiasm, yes, but I think we've also seen you fuel at this race. I think famously oftentimes at Rucky Chucky, just like this need to get to the final 20 miles. Talk a little bit about how you've been like kind of finessing that element of your racing over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I've just made it real simple.
No more burgers at Rucky Chucky?
Yeah, no more burgers at Rucky Chucky. No more option. Well, you know, like obviously backup options, but nothing crazy. I think when you first step up to 100-mile start line, coming with the idea like everything could fall apart, and I need to, especially on the stomach side, like have lots of options to see what will go in. I kind of have the attitude right now. It has to go in. Fueling's my job. I have to fuel to be able to live my passion, and that's really, what I want to do on Saturday.
We'll be keeping tabs on the live broadcast. It'll be good. I mean, we all, I think, famously fell in love with Fujiao as your crew last year when you were in Forest Hill eating noodles, and your crew did your hat and your arm sleeves and the pack. I think that was a moment for all of us that we thought, Fujiao's here.
Yeah.
But my question, last year at the finish line, you ran 16:20 something. And we asked you, like, wow, that's really fast. And you said, I thought I was going to run 18 and a half hours. Yes. You overperformed in a big way for you last year. You had an injury. Tell us a little bit about the confidence or the feeling that gave you for this year.
Because last year I got injured, so at starting I ran very slow. So the last part I run more faster because I think slow is faster sometimes. And I need thanks for my teammate Meng Guangfu from China. My last part he paced me, so I think Meng Guangfu is helping me or not, and my support team also help me or not. This year also have 10 support team, 10 support me. So thanks for my crew.
Yeah, your crew will help you a lot this weekend too. One thing that I thought was really interesting, I was talking to Carrie, who's helping to make a film, and Hillary, and they said that coming in this year, you're in the F2 bib, the top returning runner. You have one of the highest, ITRA scores or UTMB scores coming into the race. What does that feel like? Does that for you? Is that confidence? Is that pressure? Like, how are you thinking about putting on the F2 bib?
I think the indoors for me is my lucky because last year I finished Western States, the indoors get higher. So just this race helped me, I think. Of course, everyone have a chance. Maybe this year, Mariana and Emily also run very fast, go high indoors. So I think we are the same level. It's not different, and everyone have a chance to win the race.
Yeah, the women's field's amazing. I look at it and I just keep scrolling with all of the amazing names. Something I mentioned to the men that were up here was they've kind of been training in their silos, and it's been really cool to watch you and Hao Ha, you and Fujiao, and Caitlin Fielder. Everyone comes through Auburn, runs with Emily. I would love to hear, Marianne, from you first about that. You are all going to be pushing yourselves to get the very best out of yourself on Saturday, but there's this cool camaraderie, it feels like, in the women's field. And I would just love to hear a little bit from each of you about what that has meant in this training block, because it's on the outside looking in, it is super special.
Yeah, well, I think community and people that I meet through ultra running is one of the main reasons why I do ultra running. So I feel like if Fujiao and I both have an 8-hour run to do or a 6-hour run to do, we might as well head out at the same time and spend quality time. And for me to get to know her a little better, because sometimes on race day we don't get to exchange very deep. Sorry, deep or meaningful conversations. So it's been really nice to be able to go out on the course and spend some good time.
Down. You got to bring your mic down a little
Mine? Okay. Sorry. So yeah, I think that it was just a good opportunity for us to get some quality time on the course, but also yeah, get to know more about our competitors. And I know that we probably won't get that we won't be able to do that on race day. We won't be able to chit chat. We'll be able to potentially get more out of each other, but we won't be able to spend quality time, as I like to say.
Yeah, yeah, I think about it, I think daily now. I'm like, oh, these training groups are so fun. And they seem to be very organic. Emily, I feel like every time someone comes through town, it's like, oh, we got to go see Emily. We're going to go for a run with Emily. Talk a little bit about that training, that shared training block, be it with teammates or training camp or people coming through to train over the last couple weeks and months.
Yeah, I actually haven't shared a ton of miles with people coming into town, but like Caitlin Fielder has shipped her whole wardrobe to my house, so I see her often. Me and Marianne love the Auburn Bodega, best post-run spot ever, and we've magically picked the same route sometimes and run into each other, so stop and have a 20-minute chit-chat. I love it when everyone comes to town because it's just like, it's the Western States locals meet up every time, and that's what I feel like when anyone comes to town, and they just feel that magic in Auburn and around the race, and so that does make it really special.
Yeah, it feels like, I mean, you have a lot of teammates in the race, literally, this weekend. Does it feel special to get to, I feel like in a lot of ways you're the leader of the Western States crew on the team. Does it feel cool to have this kind of pack of women that will be out there this week?
Yeah, really special, especially with like who's out. Dan's out for his 3rd time. Dan Jones, ready to rock. Bet on him too. Abby Hall is back for her 2nd time. We got our golden tickets together in 2021 and shared our first Western States that year, so that's really special to have her back out. Unfortunately, Chen Lin had to pull out after her first race here last year. And then we have 2 newbies, which I keep telling everyone, you're never the same person to arrive in Auburn that you left Olympic Valley. And so that in itself is just, like, I can't find the words. I just tell them, you just got to start running.
Yeah, we'll be cheering on Caitlin and Hannah in that regard too. Fujiao, like thinking of that, I think there's been many of us here who have followed you and Haoha and that relationship. How has it been training together and spending time together in prep? Because in my mind, Haoha is also a favorite in this race. How is that time together as training partners but competitors been?
This year, I think I have a happy time with the training. I live in an American local family, and with Hoka, we are all Asian runner. We are eating different food, share different food, and share our training plan. Sometimes we can run together because we are a different coach. When we run together, we will have some funny things, and we build a sauna room in the house. It's very funny, and sometimes we will cooking each other. Sometimes because Hoka need to run long, I don't need to run too much. I will cooking at home, and sometimes she will cooking waiting for me. So for laugh. So and sometimes I will asking if Mariana, you have time, we can run together. You also have a good time with Mariana. Because we run UTMB 2 times, but she always far away from me because she always very fast. Because the UTMB and Mariana faster than me about 2 hours. Amazing. I'm very lucky we can run together and train, training camp and sometimes training together. So this year, when the race, can I run together? Training camp, every day I will ask her, where are Emily? Emily always run with Daniel. Always run faster than us. we can't meet Emily. But one day when I'm training in a race course, I met Emily. She's up here and down here. We met her, say hello, hi. Well, it's very happy training this year.
Yeah, incredibly happy training. If you guys don't follow Fujiao or Haoha on Instagram, it will become your Roman Empire, like following their relationship as training partners, getting to live together in Auburn and train as a Chinese athlete and a Vietnamese athlete has been really special. So I'd recommend hitting follow on that one. You'll appreciate it, I think, going into this week. I want to talk a little bit about just kind of some of the mentality coming in before we slowly wrap things up. But I think it was an interview that you did talking a little bit about your Western States experience, Marianne, and then having gone to UTMB twice as well, and kind of, they're very different races. I would say like very, very different. But the confidence that you've gotten from other races in this 3-year span and how you're hoping to bring that, I think I would call it confidence from those performances, be it Canyons or UTCT, or the 2 UTMB podiums in those epic battles. Like talk about that confidence from experience.
Yeah, I think that for me, UTMB and Western States aren't that different. I think I understand that they are 2 different courses, but I feel like there's a lot of running in both of them and a lot of downhill running, and that's what I like the most, and I feel like that's why I feel fine showing up on the start line of both with some level of confidence. And I think what I love the most about ultra running is that I'm never the most talented physically athlete on the start line, and I think that every time that I've podiumed at those races, if you had just evaluated me from a physical standpoint, I don't think I deserved a spot on the podium, but I love that ultra running gives me the possibility to add other things, whether it be mental, whether it be strategic, whether it be just my love for the sport. It allows me to fight with the best that there is out there, and I feel like that's something that I really enjoy about the sport, and that makes it fun for me to show up on the start line, ready to give it my best effort and see where I end up at the finish line.
Yeah. Emily, kind of something similar. No, you've done the Western States UTMB double a number of times. Marianne will be doing that later this year, I believe. We'll see. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. But you did CCC to kind of mix it up, and I'm just wondering about, like, that's a really interesting, I think, like, change in which you went from something that was very known to you to kind of stepping into something that was a very different competitive environment. And I'm wondering what you learned putting yourself in kind of that different starting space.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Marianne said, both courses, as much as we say they're different, are very similar. And probably because of the level of competition now and how much we push each other out there is a lot more running in both courses. So instead of switching for me from states to a very runnable to way more hiking mountain time, when I did the switch from Western to CCC, I just kept running. Yeah, I mean, I think that the competitive field is there. It doesn't matter what the distance is right now. Anything from 11K we saw this weekend all the way up to 250 miles. There's my girl back there. Everyone is showing up and the sport is growing and the enthusiasm is there, and it's really, really exciting. At any start line, you're going to step up, you're going to be pushed.
Yeah, again, I'm thrilled for my job this weekend. I don't have to run, and I get to sit and watch you guys battle. we got to kind of wrap things up. They're going to kick us off the stage here in a second. So I want to talk to each of you a little bit for just to give you a chance to thank the people that are here with you. So Fujiao, I would love for you to tell us who is here to support you this year and why that's important.
Oh, my supporter?
Yeah, who's your supporters this weekend?
The same as last year, and have some new friend from Shanghai. Fly to here support me. So I'm very lucky, and thanks for my support team.
Yeah, they'll make sure you get from Olympic Valley to Auburn in one piece.
Thank you.
Emily, who's been the team behind the team that's gotten you here this weekend, and who's going to be supporting you on course?
Yeah, so the team behind the team, it's been really cool. I really felt like the right people are in my corner, and they're here for a long time, and it's really felt that way. And stepping up on Saturday, I didn't feel like I'm stepping up on my own at all. Everyone's been all in. Biggest shout outs to my coach, Paul Lind, and my strength coach up in Idaho, Pat McCurry. The daily work shows up every day, and it's exciting to get it done. I'm never bored at doing all the little things, and that's what makes Saturday possible. And then on my crew this year, I have my mom and dad from Zimbabwe sitting over there, which is super cool. Paul will be out there, and a friend of ours from Don't Die Rusty, Rick Hansen. He'll be out there. He'll love to chat. He's learning about ultra running and trail running, and he will talk your ear off, so tell him everything. My friends from Arizona, Jimmy and Lindsay Burnett, have become key parts of my crew, and then my pacers this year, Jeshrin Small and Cody Lind, and my backup pacer, Sam Lynette, and they were there last year in the same roles, which is really cool to have the same crew coming out this year to be a part of it.
You planning to drop a pacer?
They better be careful.
Okay, Marianne, who is the team behind the team that's making this weekend possible?
Yeah, so this year I'll be really supported by my whole Solomon family. Solomon is really taking, I guess they're taking care of me outside of a crew. So I'll have the manager, one of the team managers, Victor, being on one of the crews, and then my physiotherapist with the team, Emlyn, will be part of the other. And then I will have my good friend, Mathieu Blanchard, who's also on the team, pace me. He was out here a couple years ago, and I was able to crew him, so I'm happy that he's back for my experience. And I have friends from home as well, Olivier and Josiane, who will be coming out to crew. And I'm looking forward to see all of the other partners that support me throughout the year as well. I know NAC is out here, Shox is out here, CDAS is out here, Garmin is out here. It's super nice to see, I guess, the whole trail community coming together, and I feel really, really lucky to have all those people in my corner. And I'm not mentioning, my coach who has been keeping me healthy throughout this training program, Simon Gosselin, so I'm giving him a shout out as well. So.
Amazing. Give these ladies a round of applause. We're incredibly excited to watch them race this weekend. Don't go anywhere. I'm going to leave. But Trail Sisters has an amazing panel coming up all about community with a bunch of women that are racing. And then we've got an incredible, cool kinship panel with Goo and Rising Hearts to round out our morning before you can all disappear for lunch. So hang out.
All right, how's everybody doing out there today? All right, that sounds pretty good, but I think we could use a little bit more energy, so I came prepared with a little exercise. So I want to hear you get loud. When I say Western, you say States. Western. States. Come on, louder. Western. States. Western. States. Western. States. All right, I guess that's all right. Good job, guys. All right, now that we got that energy going, I'd like to introduce you all to the Women of Western States panel presented by Hoka. I'm Gina Lucrezzi. I am the founder of Trail Sisters. Yep, thank you. The largest women's trail running organization within North America. So I'm stoked to be here. Well, at least I will be with you for the next 30 minutes. But, you know, with the support and help of Hoka and also the Western States Race Organization, I was able to create this panel all the way back in 2018. And yeah, it's been the whole idea, the whole effort behind it was to elevate women's voices, perspectives, and their experiences. And so today actually marks my 7th year hosting this panel, which is pretty darn cool, I'll say. It went by super fast. But, you know, opportunities like this that you can create, they really do make a difference. And when you're able to use your voice, the impact that you can create from that, what it influences, is a ton of action. And then when you show up, that forces progress. So, you know, never doubt your ability and what your impact can be, whether that's on or off the trail. And that's your Trail Sisters PSA for today. So now we can get to the main event. With me today are 5 amazing women athletes who will all be towing the line this Saturday at 5 a.m. With me today, we have Hannah Allgood, Madeline King, Diane Grimm, Yvonne Naughton, and Cindy Shepard. And I'd love if you could give them a round of applause. There we go. Let's hear it. All right. So, ladies, if you don't mind, Hannah, maybe we'll start with you. Just do a brief bio, where you're from, and maybe the qualifier race that helped you get into the lottery.
Yeah, so I'm Hannah Allgood. I am from Colorado Springs, to be specific, I guess. But yeah, I got in from a golden ticket at Javelina this last fall. So I've had one 100-miler under my belt. So here we're going to do the second. Excited to go.
All right, I'm Madeline King. I'm actually local, so was born and raised in Auburn, California, but moved out to Chicago, so been a little bit of an interesting training for altitude. But qualified with Woodstock 100 hallucination run in Michigan, so a little bit flatter, so likewise, second 100-miler under the belt, so we'll see how it goes.
Hi, I'm Diane Grimm. I'm from Boyertown, Pennsylvania. My qualifier was World's End 100K in Pennsylvania, so it's out in the Beast Coast. And I'm just so excited to be here and running your buttery smooth trails.
Hi, my name's Yvonne Naughton. I'm from Wexford, Ireland originally. I've lived in Washington, Oregon, and most recently in Colorado. I ran my first qualifier, 100-miler in 2015, and finally got in this year, and Hard Rock is my qualifier.
My name is Cindy Shepard, and I was born in Kenya, but I moved to Oregon when I was 6 years old. So I was raised in Hillsboro and spent a lot of time in Portland, where I live now. And I'm not actually sure what my qualifier was, but I ran Gorge Waterfalls 100K and Mountain Lakes 100-miler last year. And this will be my second 100-miler.
All right. All right, so I have unique questions for each panelist, and then we're going to jump into some general questions with the time we have left. So, all right, Dr. Naughton. So a little tidbit there on where I'm going. So I understand your specialty is in pediatrics and sports medicine, and that you're also a high school track coach. Would you be willing to speak about the importance of fostering healthy lifestyle choices for our youngsters and adults, if you like, and the impact it can have on mental health?
Sure, thanks, Gina. So obviously a really big question, so I'm just going to keep it really short and kind of relate it to my own experiences. So ever since my kids have been in middle school, they're now just finished their freshman and sophomore year in college, but I've been a part-time pediatrician in an outpatient setting, and my sports medicine background comes from the International Olympic Committee's diploma in sports medicine. So initially I thought I'd get involved with elite level athletes, but I started volunteering as a high school track coach and just really liked that population and working with student athletes. So I kind of stayed there. And one of the teachers encouraged me to see if I could get a teaching certificate. So I actually have a career in technical education teaching certificate and have helped develop a health science course curriculum in high school in Bend. So it's just been with these skills in medicine, teaching, and coaching, it's been a unique way to work with student athletes in middle school and high school. So as for the physical benefits of taking part in sport, and obviously my sport, like I said, is track. You know, it could be anything, basketball, football, whatever your kids are doing in school. But you know, the obvious things, kids being active is important for their health, trying to ward off things like obesity, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, things like that later in life. But also they just learn how to, you know, train and be active, which I think is important, especially these days with so much, you know, social media and gadgets that they have in their hands and they just sit around. So just learning how to train, you know, kids learn how to warm up, do a workout, cool down, stretch, learn how to do strength work. So, and even if they don't go on to college and do sports, that's something that they have later in life and they can fall back on and use it again, just like piano lessons. And then they learn life skills, like working with a team, also in like individual sports like track, where they learn to, you know, be responsible for their performance and like working hard to achieve what they want. And also just learning how to win with grace, lose with dignity, learn from those experiences, learning from losing. And then obviously the mental health aspect of it is huge. I mean, we all really love trail running because it's a community, it's a family, and it's the same for kids in sport. That's their support network, or one of them at least. And I think another important thing is that they learn how to set goals for their performances, how to work towards that, how to work hard. They learn, you know, self-confidence and self-worth in any sport that they do. And just to close, what was really kind of interesting is I did a class in sports psychology, and we talked about grit and what that might mean in your, you know, your life. It might be in sport or just anything in general, you know, doing well in exams, getting into college. And we were able to talk about Sally McRae's experience with her first Western State, and Sally actually lived in Bend at that time, and her daughter Mackenzie was on our track team. So we showed her movie, the Billy Yang movie, and, you know, talked about her grit and experience of the race and it not going so well, but then her overcoming the problem of having a knee injury and then, you know, finishing well. And at the end of the class, a girl came up to me who was totally not an athlete and in total goth gear and wanted to know how Sally did later in her career. So I think ultra running has that power to, you know, grab attention and to inspire even young kids who, you know, don't take part in sports. So that's pretty powerful.
That's great. Oh, the whole picture. Very nice. Like anything to get them off their phones too, right? You know? All right. I heard the word grit in there, and so perfect segue. Diane, I'm coming to you. All right, so Diane, you're 65 years young, and you started running at the age of 50. I mean, that's pretty incredible, folks. So I listened to you on the Running Mullet podcast, and I'm not sure if there's anyone, well, I can't think of anybody that can match your determination. So would you share with us where that inner drive comes from, and maybe tell folks that are interested in doing the sport of trail running, that are wanting to start at a later age, in life, what your thoughts are, any tips you have for them.
Sounds great. Thank you. Yeah, I was born a Zubik. So my family is where my drive and my determination comes from, and total craziness. So embrace it. I mean, we're all crazy inside, and we just got to let that inner side out. And it's just been a blessing to be surrounded by family and the community of trail runners. They just inspire with their stories, with their passion, and it's just been huge for me. As a kid, I pushed every limit you could push. My mother would just look at me and say, "Honey," and I'd be like, okay, let's go. So I think starting bike racing at like 40 years old, I was late into all the sports. The bike racing gave me the endurance and that focus and the drive that I needed. So transitioning to trail running at the age of 50 was kind of like a natural. Everybody said, wait, you're supposed to run first and then bike, because your legs, so when I came in at 50, I had young legs. I might have been old, but my body parts were good. So I think starting later in life, you have a young body. So, and you've gone through experiences. We've all, at my age and at our age, we've endured so many obstacles, and we at this age have the experience and the wisdom to overcome it and use those problem solvings in our trail running, because when you're out there, you never know what's going to happen, and you can just build on what you've experienced in life in general. So starting out in your 50s, I don't care if it's a 5K or you're just getting out and walking the dog. It's a step, and every step is a step forward, and it's huge. So my husband is the one who got me started in this. He was a trail runner, and he goes, hey, let's do a trail run. And I'm like, well, how far is it? And he said, 6 miles. And I'm like, when is it? And he goes, 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, that's cool. So the first week I did like a mile on the treadmill, and I thought I was going to die. And then I did 2 miles, and then he goes, okay, let's go outside. So that's week 2 of training, and we did 3 miles, and all I kept saying was walk. Okay, run, no walk, run, no walk. And then we did 4 miles, and he said, we're ready. I'm like, I can't be ready. I only did 4 miles. The race is 6. He goes, if you do 4, you can do 6. And we showed up to the line, and he goes, where are you going? And I said, well, I'm going up front. I'm like, why would I let all these people ahead of me when we didn't start yet? So I went up to the front, and the gun went off, and we hit this bushwhack section. And my husband never saw me again. I was like 10 years old, busting through the brush, hooting and hollering, doing bird calls, and I was just like totally in my element. And when I got done, halfway through the race, I said to the guy in front of me, I said, are we last? He goes, no, we're doing really good. And when we got to the end, I placed in my age group, and I was just like, this is just so cool. I want it, because what makes you happy when you're a kid? So if you grow up playing in the woods, and it made you happy then, when you get older, you're still happy, and you're still 10 years old inside. So I think starting out older is an advantage, because age is our power, age is our strength, it's our superpower. So color your roots, or don't color your roots. Show your age and be proud of it, and wear it with the badge of honor, because this is my first 100 at 65 years old.
Yeah.
And I promised I wasn't gonna cry.
You need to save those tears. That's hydration right there.
Yeah.
Keep that in. All right, thank you so much, Diane.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, Cindy, ready? All right, so Cindy, I know you work with your county's public health department, specifically with the racial and ethnic approaches to community health program, REACH. Can you share a little bit about what that work means to you and how your work with REACH can make an impact in running outdoor recreation?
Yeah, so I work as a communication specialist for the REACH program, and it's a CDC-sponsored program where we address health disparities in the Black and African immigrant and refugee communities of Multnomah County. So that's just like Black Americans and also African immigrants, refugees, everybody. And those are two very separate groups with very different needs, but they're all lumped together. So we try to find ways to reach these different communities. But I started to see the connection between my work and trail running when we organized an event where we took a group of mostly Black seniors out to an area called Forest Park. And these are people who've lived in Portland for generations. Some of them have been born there. And almost all of them said they had either never been in the park before or had only been there a couple times. And so that kind of reminded me of the trail community where if I showed up to something, I was usually the only person of color or the only Black person or the only Black woman or all of those things. And I realized that, just because you have something there or just because someone's not telling you can't do something doesn't mean you will do it. And so when we asked them afterwards on the feedback forms, what is a barrier to this for you coming out here? A big one was transportation, but the other big one was community. They're like, I didn't want to get lost. I didn't know what to do. I didn't see anybody that looked like me doing these things. And so we can kind of handle the transportation part, but the community part is a little harder because if something's not in your cultural repertoire, you don't really believe you can do it. And for me, I grew up going outside and loving being outside, but that wasn't because that was something my family did in Hillsborough. It was because something my friends' families did. They took me camping with them. They took me to the river, and I loved running. So trail running is kind of a natural extension of that. Even though I got into it late, I'm just starting to realize that, the barriers are not necessarily like saying, no, you can't do this. It's that nobody is telling you that you can do it. Nobody is encouraging you. And I think some of the miscommunication around, diversity and inclusion and things like that, it's like we're not afraid to interact with people outside of our communities. But, you have to put things into context. And the last 8 years have been difficult politically, last 8 to 10, 15 years. I don't want to invest my time and energy into a community to find out 6 months later that we don't share the same values, So that's what people are worried about. You're not worried about people being mean to you. You're just worried that these are not your people, and you're going to invest your time and energy in a space where they don't want you there deep down. So that's why you need to make efforts to be extra inclusive and to show representation and to show people that basically you are wanted here, and not just because we're not stopping you, but because we're inviting you. So.
Very nice. Yes. No, it's great. That was great. Intentionality, community. I think we all need that, and I think we should be more intentional. So, 4 minutes? What? We started late. That's not fair. 5 more minutes. Yeah, we need more than that. All right. So this next one for the Golden Girl. So Hannah, you won the golden ticket at Javelina 100 Mile, I think it was. So you're not only a speedster, but you're also a doctor of physical therapy and an orthopedic certified specialist. So in your professional opinion, first, what is one strengthening exercise runners cannot live without? And secondly, can you share a bit about the intersection of your professional running career and working as a PT?
Yeah, I'll keep this short since we're low on time, but I would say as far as, one thing you can do, unfortunately there's not just one, but I always say the best thing to start is to get a pair of dumbbells and just start strength training. I always like to focus on, one side, whether that's step-ups, single leg calf raises, all of the lunges, but, everybody's different, so make sure you see your physical therapist and have a program that's tailored for you. But I think the thing that I've really taken away being a runner and kind of starting in a similar place where I wasn't doing this at a high level and then now have taken it to a high level, is the kind of that position between knowing when to push my body and when to not, but also how to guide someone through that as well. And also taking it to the point of viewing an injury not so much as a setback, but an opportunity. How can we make you stronger, make you better, get this proper performance out of you? So it's a way to tailor your training and then make you a stronger athlete. So I think that's where that juxtaposition comes together and we can really push you to that next level.
That was great.
Yeah.
Thank you for speeding through that. All right. Awesome. All right, young gun. So we got Madeline King up here, 26 years old, and got into Western States with 1 ticket. So I know there's a lot of people that love you right now. There's a lot of people that are cursing you out because they've got 128 tickets in there and they're just waiting. So, okay, so ultra running, it's seeing an uptick in participation from a younger demographic. And I'm curious, Madeline, what appealed to you about the 100-mile distance, and what do you believe is driving or influencing a younger demographic to ultra running?
Yeah. Thank you, Gina. Yeah, it was definitely a surprise to get in on 1 ticket. I thought, I might as well start working towards this goal. This has been a long time goal for me. Just growing up in the Auburn community and seeing these runners and being in the canyons all the time, it was a huge goal. And then I was like, okay, it's going to take me, at least 5 years to get in. And then kind of right off the bat, I got in. So definitely excited. It'll be a little trial and error, but really confident in the training block that I put in and the people that have been behind me to support that. And I think that the 100-mile distance is really a sweet spot. I think you get to challenge yourself running through kind of a day and a night for the majority of runners, and you get to see all the versions of yourself that come through those struggles and those mental highs and lows and playing the different strategies. And honestly, the community that's out there. I think the community is a huge, huge draw, and I definitely have a few more marathons under my belt as road running rather than trail running, and I'm happily converted over to the trail running side of things just because so many other people are out there, and it feels like even though you're leapfrogging, that you were there with family as you're talking through things. And I think that with all of the data and the technologies from shoes, nutrition, watches, that it can become very individualized. And then the 100-mile distance, you're out there long enough that you're going to run across people and have those really fun conversations. And I think that individuals and younger demographics and people are kind of going towards ultra running. Based on social media, I think that has played a large role in kind of spreading the awareness on these races in the different community, because it's very niche in the grand scheme of things. When you talk to individuals about running and they aren't necessarily aware of the community, it's a new kind of found pocket. And I think previously there was a large reliance on word of mouth to get these in and to get the younger demographics, but now you have your vlogs, you have your reels, you have your social media where people then are excited to challenge themselves in these ways. So I think it's pulling younger demographics in, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Very cool. Well, I'm excited for you this weekend. So it'll be interesting, and I'm excited to see what continues to come from this space, which I saw that I had another couple minutes. I just got the thumbs up since we got started a little late here, just a little panel push all the way through. So I do have one last question, and feel free to answer it if you'd like. But what do you hope to see for the future of trail and ultra running in the next 10 years? I'll give you 1 minute for that answer, just to speed things along. So, thoughts? Go for it.
I can go ahead and speak to it a little bit more as I'm just starting this ultra running career relatively. I think that there is very much a balance and a sweet spot in maintaining the authenticity of how local these races feel and giving back to the communities and going for that inclusion and that sustainability, but also bringing in resources that will allow further inclusion. So when you have these big sponsors that are able to really support and broaden the the scope of individuals that can really participate, because oftentimes, I think, as mentioned in the first panel, it takes a lot of resources to enter into these races and to put in the training and all of the equipment and to travel for these. And so I think having that balance of both local and kind of the larger backing, I hope to see that kind of pushed forward in the future.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Yeah, to that point, I think sustainability, there has to be a balance as the sport gets, more popular, because I do love my local races, and, there's always a fear that when it becomes bigger, it becomes more commercialized. So absolutely that, and making sure that we're keeping our, footprint low, and just making sure that these events are as sustainable as possible. And the other side of that is whether or not, more Black and brown people or adaptive athletes or anyone who's historically been left out of anything, whether or not they end up doing ultra running or trail running specifically, I just want them to know that they have the option. Because I think something I keep hearing a lot is like, you can't be what you can't see. And so again, with barriers, it's like, it's not that no one's telling you that you can't do it, but how can you choose something that you don't know exists? So I just want to see more people outdoors. And that also is important, because whether or not someone gets into ultra running specifically, if they can appreciate this amazing natural resource we have, then they're going to want to protect it. And so there is a lot of, you can benefit. There's a lot of benefit from getting as many people from as many communities as possible into the sport.
Nice.
So getting back to the barriers, being of my age is not a barrier. And people need to realize that no matter how young you are and no matter how old you are, there's a space out there for you. And a lot of the races are doing multiple distances, so you can challenge yourself. And as far as timed races, it doesn't always have to be a distance. It could be a time where you can challenge yourself on a short term. Like, maybe it's your first 5K. Do one loop. Hey, I feel really good. Go out there and do another loop and push yourself, not depending on your age. And I'd like to see more events like we have Sheestern States, which is backed by Trail Sisters, or came out of Trail Sisters, where it's a weekend for women only, that people are scared. If you've never done something like this, all of a sudden you're out there with a bunch of women, and you're sharing the experience, and that's what it's about. It's about sharing your stories, sharing your struggles, and then you're getting power from that. So I'd like to see more events where women could just grow, because we're the minority in the races, and the only way that we're going to produce more female runners is to have moms that are in the sport bringing up their girls in a positive and in a way that, they have these powerful role models. So,
and that Trail Sisters has some women-only events. That maybe you'll have to come out and participate.
I do. I think I'm coming to visit.
All right. All right. A minute. We got
a quickie.
Okay. Yeah.
So just to add on to that, when I started doing trail races, I dragged my kids along, and they did long drives to aid stations and had to be entertained and things like that. So just as the sport is growing and trying to make it a nice environment for kids and families too, looking forward, providing things like childcare at races. So I'm currently in Silverton in Colorado and working with Hard Rock, and this year we actually do have organized childcare. So, so the kids get to come and enjoy it and do kids events and, not have to be dragged around to runners meetings and things like that. I'd definitely like to see more of that in the future.
Cool. Well, thank you so much. All right. A louder applause than that. Yeah. All right, ladies, thank you all so much, and thank everybody for their patience. And please stick around. We've got Rising Hearts next. All right. And that's a wrap for us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Celia Camargo. I am the Director of Community and Purpose at GU Energy Labs. We are a very proud sponsor of the Western States 100 and are proud to say that we just renewed our partnership so we can continue to deepen our relationship with all of you in trail running and bring new trail lovers into the sport, because this is what it's all about, welcoming others in. And we are here reporting live from Washoe Land. We are in Olympic Valley, and the beautiful Western States 100 course traverses the land of the Washoe and finishes in the land of the Nisenan. As I said, we're a proud sponsor of Western States. We're also pretty local. GU is based on Ohlone land down in Berkeley, California. We're 33 years old, and we're very proud to still be family-owned. And when I think about family, I think about connection, community, bringing people together, and really being the bridge to creating and welcoming in change. So this panel today is all about kinship building and running towards real connection. We all know that running communities are more than just miles. They're spaces for belonging, growth, and reckoning. This panel explores how brands, clubs, and individuals are building true kinship through discomfort, difference, and intention. We'll have a real focus on meaningful collaboration, safe and inclusive environments, and authentic storytelling. And each panelist up here beside me brings a grounded and lived perspective on what it really takes to invest in community, not as a trend, but as a lasting commitment. And this is enough for me. As a brand, the most powerful thing that we can do is pass the mic. We're dedicating to increasing representation, and that's enough for me. I'm going to hand it over to our panelists to introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jordan Marie Whetstone, the founder and executive director of Rising Hearts. Hi, Bubba. My son's out in the crowd. Our purpose really is community building, bringing people together and creating those pathways of meaningful connection and storytelling and advocacy together. And our mission really is through movement, advocacy, and storytelling. We want to interactively and interconnectedly work with the industry to create opportunities for community to be elevated, to be centered, to be heard, to feel safe, and so that we see ourselves in their brand, in their content, in their community, and vice versa. And there are pathways that we can do that together constructively and meaningfully.
Beautiful. Hello, everyone. My name is Cal Calamia. My pronouns are he or they. Stoked to be here. Thank you for attending virtually or in person. I describe myself as an athlete, activist, educator, and writer. A lot of the work that I do in all of those different areas is about bringing light to trans and non-binary communities and elevating queer joy and community through my work with the Non-Binary Run Club, which I founded, as well as Too Hot for Hoodies, which is my nonprofit organization. So I got my hands in a lot of different areas, just trying to make the world more inclusive, and especially with an emphasis on trans and non-binary folks.
Hey everyone, my name is Carolina Rubio McWright, and I am from Colombia. I'm an immigrant, an immigration lawyer, and I run the nonprofit called Touching Land, where essentially we bring immigrants that just arrived and we connect them with already established running clubs, and we teach them about their rights, but also about the intersectionality with social justice. Right, we are here, we're so privileged to be here, and so our work is actually to talk about the hard things that are not being discussed here, like social justice issues, like why aren't we talking about reproductive rights and what's happening there? Why aren't we talking about the millions, thousands of people that are being disappeared right now, immigrants like me? And so for us, it's really about building bridges and making sure that these conversations are being had, right? We are all upset about the taking away of our lands, the potential, but we're not talking about Indigenous people or about how that affects the trans community or how it affects other groups of people. And so that's what we do, right? We build a touching land we use somatic practices. We not only run, but we use ceramics, we use also cooking, all these different avenues that are somatic, that center our power and really connect the humanity that we all have so that we can build the world that we imagine is possible, because the world that we have is not enough for everybody, is not fair. And so our jobs and the privilege that we stand is imagining what would Western states, more inclusive Western states look like, right? What would my local running club look like? So that's what we do at Touching Land.
Hello guys, my name is Faith. I was born in Nigeria, but I currently live in Houston, Texas, Katy to be more specific. For me, I hope being up here, everyone sees me and they see themselves in me. I'm a mother, I'm a sister, I work full time, I'm a friend. And for me, growing up, I never fit in anywhere. Even sometimes in my family, I'm the oddball out. But when I showed up in my first race, I felt at home. I truly felt like I was with people, I could be myself. I could finally just be in a place where I belonged. And like I said, that was really hard growing up, just not having that. And I found that here in this community. And I just hope other people look at me and they see themselves up here too, and they see themselves doing this, and they can see that this can be a dream for them as well. And hopefully they find a home here like I have. So that's why I'm here, and I'm hopeful I can spread that word around.
Can you feel it? I feel a lot of love here, and that's why we're all physically here or tuned in, because we love the trail community. And I want to take a step back, and Jordan, thank you for bringing us all together. It is a kinship with Rising Hearts that we started 4 years ago. GU Energy Labs helping be the bridge to welcome Rising Hearts and Western states, and for us to learn more about the lands that we're recreating with. Something that I hear you say frequently is the way that we tell stories is the culture. So can you explain to all of us, what does it look like for brands to invest in the work that not only Rising Hearts is doing, but all of these communities that you're bringing together, uplifting and highlighting the intersectionality of all of us?
That is a big question. I think the way we do it and how we're trying to set a precedent of doing it is when we enter into conversations with brands, we really try to communicate there needs to be a commitment and investment with dollars, a special allocated budget that is specifically for community building. You can't just rely on like your community coordinator or your community outreach manager to handle community relations. There needs to be not just that, but there needs to be serious commitment of doing the outreach, doing the education, and maintaining those conversations and relationships continuously. It has to be an every day, every week, 365 days a year commitment, because for us, we're able to see who's doing the good and who's falling up short. We're a community, we talk about it, we talk to each other, we know who to want to engage with and who not to engage with. It's really that simple, and the community really is that small. And so when we're in this culture of wanting to center community, we have to continue building those relationships, invest with money, invest with your staff and your people to get them to show up for them each and every opportunity that is there. And as we've seen when we've held these panels and these opportunities or these workshops, we are seeing a growing commitment. We are seeing more brand industry participation in showing up. And for me, that is a win. I would love to see it bigger, but that is a win. We are seeing that change, and it is growing. But when we're telling stories and centering people's voices and their lived experiences, we also need to make sure that whoever's telling that story, they're doing it meaningfully, authentically, and respectfully. And
has to be a multi-participatory process, not just with the film crew or the media, but also with whose voice that they are telling, and to be truly inclusive in making them a story editor or a story producer so that they have agency and a say in how their story is being told, and that they have the final say, and that they should be compensated when their stories are being told about them. You can't just expect them to say, oh, we're telling your story, here you go, that's it, you should be happy with it. No, you have to invest in them and beyond that story opportunity. So there are so many ways for the industry and other organizations to show up, but those are just the very easy ways of just maintaining connection and relations and conversations, getting it out in a contract so that way you know who is committing to what, so that no one falls short or no one's disappointed, and investing specific dollars into community-driven work.
And we have learned a lot through this with you, Jordan, and we're grateful for you guiding the way. And I'd encourage those of you out there to take a look at the films that we have co-created with Rising Hearts, and you have inspired us to do more as well. We're so happy to have Faith, to have Mickey, also to have our fourth Rising Hearts GU athlete, Scott, toe the starting line, because representation does matter. And when we get these stories out, people can see themselves. And Faith, I'm gonna bring it back to you. Your journey into trail and ultra running, you say almost started by accident.
Yes.
But you have become such a powerful presence in the space. I can feel your energy. Your smile lights up the life around you. What has it meant to you to carve out space in this community? Not just for yourself, but for others who might be watching and thinking, maybe I do belong here too.
For me, it's just, people have to see you, you know? I'm usually a very private person, but when I do these things and when I hike and when I show up in races, those are instances I always post online, because honestly, it just takes seeing one to do one. It takes seeing people doing things you didn't think they could ever do to know, like, hey, I can do that too. That could be a dream of mine as well. I just want people to know that the space is out here, that this is a safe place for them to be. It can be a happy place. It can be a home. Being out in trail, like the love I feel when I'm in trails, like even today when I stepped foot in here, today was my first day stepping into Olympic Valley, and I just stopped and I just looked around, and you just feel it. It's in you feel it in your soul, you feel it in your being, in your every vibe of you. And the thing is, I want the world to have that so bad. I want people who never knew it to want it, to see it, to experience it. Sometimes when something is good, you want to save it for yourself, but this is not one I want to save for myself. I want the world to experience it. It's healing. It completes you. It makes you a better person. It's such a beautiful community, and I hope anybody who sees this, sees me and them, sees they know they can do it, sees the people, experience the love. It's something that I want everybody to have. So if I can just do a little bit of that and they can see me and know that's something that they can try, it's not unattainable, you know, it's there. They just have to see it. And there are a lot of things that people are doing, and I'm so thankful for GU for giving me this opportunity. They've become a family to me. There's not one person I've met that does not hug me. They check in on me. They've become my family, every single one of them. And I feel bad because I'm gonna bug them for the rest of their lives, you know? You guys are kind of stuck with me, so I'm sorry, but I love them so much. And like I said, I want to spread this love. I want other people to have it. So please, like, see me, see you. Come do this too. It's out here, and there's love, and there's so much of it to be spread around, so.
This is what it's about, building community. And Cal, I'm gonna bring it over to you. First, I wanna make sure everybody knows. You recently achieved podium finishes in all 6 world marathon majors, while continuing to spearhead the push for non-binary divisions in major races. What have you learned through your work as an athlete and activist, and how can we apply that in the running industry?
Thank you so much for this question, and Faith, thank you for such a beautiful response. I think it says a lot, right? Because the work of, showing up in a space where you're not, you don't see yourself or you don't feel invited or you don't feel welcomed is really, really challenging work. And I think just acknowledging the political landscape in the ways that our mediums of communication and our media channels are being policed and monetized, a lot of what I've noticed is that there are a lot of false narratives that are super prevalent. So one of the biggest things that I've learned through my work as an athlete and an activist is just the power of storytelling. And Jordan really nailed this, how to do collaborative storytelling in a meaningful way. But I really believe that dehumanization is at play in the conversation about exclusion. And through storytelling, we can build a lot of empathy for each other and people that we don't typically engage with or we don't feel that we fully understand. So the power of storytelling as individuals, but also in collaboration and meaningful collaboration with other brands, that's huge. Another thing I've noticed is that if you build it, they will come. I founded Non-Binary Run Club, and the first time I, set up, I was taping posters to trees in San Francisco and, putting things on poles around town. And I had no idea how many people would show up. I thought maybe 3. I don't know how many non-binary runners are there. And now in the last year and a half, our community online has grown to over 400 people in terms of specifically trans and non-binary athletes, which is great, as well as a number of thousands of supporters and people who see what we're trying to do, what the cause is, and they want to stand behind it. So that's a big one. I think in inclusivity work in the running industry, oftentimes people are afraid. Oh my goodness. I think people are afraid they don't, always see the value of, what is the real importance of having adaptive inclusivity or acknowledging the land that we're on. What is the real importance of including non-binary athletes? And through storytelling and through just taking a risk and building, we can create things that are truly transformational. And I guess the last thing would be we are just so much stronger together. Us up here, I can't even say how amazing it feels with words because it feels incredible to just be up here with other folks that have other experiences, and we can tack on our conversations to each other and make more meaningful change together, as well as everyone who's in the audience, right? And to end this to wrap this up, I want to give an example of my coach, who is a spectacular ally, and I just got a random call from her one time, and I picked up, and she told me, hey, I reached out to the Modesto Marathon. They didn't have a non-binary division, so I started pressing on them, and I told them that I wasn't going to participate in the race unless they added the division. And she's a cis straight ally, but the work of thinking about what spaces, what people are allowed to occupy is very important work. And if all of us can begin to operate from a place of thinking about, hey, my neighbor or my friend or this person in my run club wouldn't be welcome here, maybe I'm not gonna go, or I'm not gonna go until I push a positive change that would make this space more inclusive for everyone. So we can do a lot more if we think about us as a collective against exclusion instead of thinking about all of our different identities in a vacuum, because all of this work is so intersectional, and really we all want the same thing, which is to feel like who we are and all of our experiences and identities that we bring to the spaces we occupy are welcome in that space, and that transforms the entire running world and beyond.
Carolina, to build on what Cal has just talked about, there is a need to create these safe spaces and to create real relationships. You really emphasize on building transparent, inclusive environments where intentions are clear and everyone feels welcome. Can you expand a bit on what you've done with Touching Land and how running has woven in?
First of all, you guys are amazing. We've done this panel and we've been together, and I think we all talk with each other, which has been really incredible. We build on each other's relationship, and I think it's similar with Touching Land and the Running Rights and Land program, where we really end up being a family.
you know, and it's this idea of the power of the collective. Much like Faith in Colombia, if we like something, like we want everybody to try arepas, okay? Like food is like our joy and our happiness, and I feel like we don't like gatekeeping and we don't understand gatekeeping because it is like your plate should have all the colors of the rainbow, and that's how we feel spaces should be like. And I ran this race last year, and I felt so much love, and the community is so special. And because they're so special, like when I belong to a space, I'm gonna push you so that we do better. If something is missing, I'm gonna push you because I know you can do it. And it's this idea of colonialism setting these standards of this is how we do it. And the biggest thing they took away from us was our imagination and the potential to have a little bit of a risk, be risk takers, especially people that stand in privilege. Otherwise, they just see me as an angry Latina. And so if you have that privilege, we want to push you. We want you to be like, hey, so in this room with this brand, there's only 8 white guys between the ages of 40 and 50. You're not gonna get a different perspective if you have the same type of story and the same lived experience, which is why you want to bring in other people and not just tokenize them, right? But truly want to invest in them, like Jordan was saying, truly want to bring them together. I mean, we've had multiple iterations of the running rights and land. I've done this program for 8 years, and it changes every time because it's not the same audience. And it's this idea of flexibility, which I find hard with American, like the American identity, where you think you're a finished product when you're supposed to grow and you're supposed to learn and constantly be questioning and be willing to accept that you were wrong, right? There's something so beautiful about the humility of recognizing that, you know what, I'm not meant to know everything. So let me lean into Cal, because I'm really don't understand LGBTQ+, right? And it's okay to ask for help. So I think recognizing that you're gonna mess up, but it's necessary because that is how we grow. We don't grow in the comfortable static position. We grow when we push like runners. When we're out there getting close to Robinson Flat and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. That's what this is about, and it's life, and it's in the very same way. And I just love this community, so I'm gonna keep pushing as we will continue to push because we love this community so deeply, and it's the only place where I can tell you as a Latina, brown woman, immigrant, it's the only place where I feel freedom.
Again, love and community. At GU, one of our core values is love. We talk a lot about leading with love and how we show up for our communities, how we build true connections, and how we move through this world. Each of you brings that spirit in your own way, through your advocacy, through your storytelling, and the spaces you hold on and off the trail. There's this idea that joy is an act of resistance, especially for people whose identities have been erased or excluded. So to close, I'd love each of you to share, what does it mean to lead with love in your work, and how does this joy show up for you, especially on the trails?
Okay, hello. I'm taking one for the team on this one. Now, this is a great question because love is something that I value tremendously. And one way that it shows up in my work is really thinking about pushing the needle for myself in the sort of inherently necessary work that I've done in trans and non-binary inclusion work in the running space, thinking about it as so much bigger than just myself, and thinking about how I can have meaningful collaborations with brands and races and other organizations that support not only me, but my entire community. And similar to the work that Jordan is doing here with Rising Hearts, bringing together multiple communities, kind of feeding back to what I was saying earlier about how connected we are. And if we can think of all of our struggles to be included as deeply connected, we can impact a lot of change together. So I just keep togetherness central for myself and all the work that I do, and lead with empathy and love and compassion when people don't fully know what's going on and do need help. And that's a huge way that it shows up for me. And the joy for me is in being able to show up to spaces like this where I'm fully embodied as a trans athlete with a microphone, unapologetic about my identity, and in community with people that are going to protect me and take care of me and listen openly. That being able to be in that space is transformative, and I think goes a really long way as well.
Oh man, joy for me is the trails, obviously, but also the intersectionality with climate, and how the more I ran in the trails, the more I felt really guilty about not giving back to nature and recognizing the power and privilege that I have that others don't. You know, my people are running through jungles in order to save their lives, and here I'm just doing this for fun. And so I became a beekeeper because I felt so guilty about running around trees and not giving back to them. And I think that we feel like we're so separate from the land when we're not, right? And we have a duty when our Mother Earth is in, like Pachamama is in crisis. And so I feel like the more we run and the more that we recognize that intersectionality with social justice, like in the city, who's got tree canopy? Are there food deserts? Like, what can I do when I'm running? Like, is there anything, any initiative? I think I find joy in not staying static and complaining, and actually moving into action and asking questions and getting curious, which means you're gonna mess up, but you have to be okay about messing up. And so that's where my joy lands, where, you know, I can bring my people. I see myself as one with the land when I see people like Vincent showing up and posting about climate and about people and about what's happening in the trail world and not just keeping it in a silo. That's my joy. And of course, community and being able to be alive and functioning.
For me, love is authenticity, and you can't fake that. And I always tell people, if you want to feel love, run a trail race. It's from the very beginning, you know, when you're in packet pickup and you look around, you see everybody else around you, there's just such an energy in the air. And then when the race starts, again, the same energy, but then it's in the people all around and the volunteers that give up their time to make sure you get to accomplish your goal, and the families of the other runners that are there giving you high fives, you know, cheering you on, telling you you got this when I look like I'm dying. That's what love is. You can't hide it. It's in people who genuinely want to see the best in you, who want to see you succeed. I don't think there is another runner who wants you to finish that line more than they do. You know, everyone just supports each other, and you can't fake that. It's not, if it's not in you, if it's not true, you feel it. And for me, the love I have for this sport is I truly just get to engross myself when I'm in the trail. Nothing else matters. It's my meditation, like all the different things in life, everything that I'm going through, the hardness of life, nothing matters. I just get to think about that one step after the other. I get to look around and see where I am, and I just get to be in the moment, and that's love for me. And how I hope to give that back is, you know, to have somebody else get to experience this love, have other people know that there's so much love and there's so much to share. Like if it was a amount that I know, okay, it's running out, I would try to hide it, but there's so much, it's unlimited. So I just hope that in us doing this, we can reach out to people who never thought this would be something that they could do. They never saw themselves in these spaces. I want them to know they belong, and you will be welcome with open arms, and you will be loved, and you will be cherished, and you'll be appreciated. And the love that's been given to me from everybody here, from GU, from my family, from everybody cheering me on, I just want to truly say thank you. It means the world to me.
I really appreciate you sharing all of that, Faith. It's just so exciting to see you in this moment, and so excited for you to get out on the trails on Saturday. Give her a round of applause. For me, love, joy, running used to only be a me thing. It used to be me and my time to connect and disconnect from the world and just find that pure love and joy of running. And over time, I think it also shows a testament to us as human beings. We evolve and we grow and adapt. And now love for me in this work, outside of my family, is community and the opportunities to bring each other together. And I will say it again, this work is so hard to do. I don't want anyone out there thinking that it is easy. It is such a vulnerable space to be in for us to have to, especially community groups and voices, we have to take up the space every time to create the space for the next voice, for the next community, for the next group. And that is taxing. And so I really want everyone out there who's watching on the live stream and here and that is present to really appreciate the boots on the ground community voices and advocates who are here, who are being vulnerable, who are sharing their lived experience, and who are really breaking down those barriers so that there are no more barriers left for, my little 3-year-old out there running. I don't want him to have to go through these same struggles. I don't want my girls to go through. I don't want, our athlete Scott and his family to have these kinds of barriers. And for the next generations, it is truly all centered on community and how we can collaboratively support each other, show up and be a good relative, and to really live as a unified, collective, powerful group of people that show up for each other, that protect each other, that elevate each other, and gatekeeping is no longer a thing. Yeah. So that is community, that is love, and that is joy that I see today. And it is hard, but that community just keeps reminding me to keep doing it.
Thank you all. Thank you, Jordan and Rising Hearts, for bringing us all together. And to echo the words of Rising Hearts, be a good relative. Realize that we are all interconnected, ourselves with the earth. How can we all be good stewards? Good stewards. And in closing, this has been a very powerful conversation and one that needs to be continued. So can you all just go down and let people know how we can stay in touch?
It's me again. My name is Cal Calamia. I'm on social media. It's just my name, Cal Calamia. And I have email and other contact information in there. And then my run club, non-binary run club, is MBRCSF. And that's a great place. Also a little bit easier to get in touch with me there if you don't hear from me on the main channel. Thank you.
All right, and I'm Carolina Rubio McWright. My nonprofit is Touching Land. You can find us on Insta or online. And also my personal running is Carustol. And yeah, just reach out if you want to do anything with immigrants. We're all very open and we love collaborating. We want our models and programs to grow. So if you're interested in starting something in your community, please reach out to all of us. We are, like Faith said, open hearts, open arms.
My Instagram is Miles with Faith. And as any runner, I'm already looking for my next race and talking about it. So if you have any good recommendations, send them my way. I also love to climb mountains. If there are mountains anywhere, recommend them to me. So I'd love to be your friend, please.
And for me, it's native in _LA, and then you can follow Rising Hearts at rising_hearts, and then risinghearts.org, where you can learn all about our programming and see what events that we have coming up. Today is the last day of our Let Them Run Pride 5K, virtual 5K. So if you would like to participate that or make a generous donation, those get distributed to 4 beneficiaries, including Cal's organizations. So please, sign up for that. And then our next one is our Disability Pride 5K, which is July 1st through the 14th that you can sign up for, and you get bibs, and we have raffles made by Indigenous beadwork artists for both of these virtual runs. So if you want to just enter in for the raffle and have a chance to win that beaded bling, definitely do so. They're absolutely amazing and beautiful, but that's how you can continue showing up in support.
Thank you all and wishing you all many happy miles. Have a great day.